Hello everybody, welcome to the Hustle Bubble. Here we have Owen Igori.
What's going on?
Here he does real estate investing, fintech, drop shipping, forex trading, stock trading. So this guy does it all. So I just like to introduce him again. This is Owen. Also we have Snoop Dogg's red wine. I always wanted to try it. I hear it's pretty strong. Gets the job done. So we're gonna drink some of this. Try to support, black businesses as we can. Not bad.
Nah, that's actually
it's not bad at all.
Yeah, I like that.
So, how did you get started as an investor?
Well, really, my first investment was really forex, right? So that started back in 2015, 2016. And the story of how I got started, it was really, so I had a suite mate.
Okay.
So, like you have a roommate, but you have a suite mate.
Right.
That's the person in the room next door.
Yeah.
So his name was Ralph. So one day, I see Ralph and he's just like always on his phone, putting in numbers, looking at charts. I'm like, yo, what's this? He was like, yo, it's a foreign exchange market. So he really just put me on right then and there. So with that, I kind of like took off running with it, and that just led me into what I'm doing today. So originally, my real first investment was forex. It was really only like $20, but look, I was like, at the time, probably like 19, 20 years old.
Okay.
So, I just really just liked it because like, right, you put $20 in, you can probably see 30 by the end of the night.
Yeah.
But you can also lose that 20 real quick.
You can, yeah.
So that was really my first start in investing.
Now, was you hesitant? Because I know like people have this negative stigma against like forex trading. So what made you was like, you know what, forget what they saying, let me do this? Yeah,
so the negative stigma around the forex trading comes from like these marketing groups, right? I guess like network marketing type of thing where you have to build a team.
Yeah.
So when I was introduced to forex, I didn't necessarily have to. I was introduced as the independent trader.
Oh,
right?
I see.
So Ralph wasn't part of a network marketing type of thing.
Okay.
So he just showed me like, look, yeah, you could just hop on the market. You don't need a group. You don't need a team. You could just hop in the market and trade.
See, that's what I always thought. I thought if you want to do forex, you got to join under somebody, kind of like a pyramid scheme. That's why I was like, I don't know about that, but okay, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's my misconception, right? People will be like, yo, forex is a scam. Right. No, it's the network marketing that's scam me. But the forex market is just like any other market, stock market, real estate market. It's a real thing that's publicly traded by banks and other hedge fund type of, just people who have a lot of money, right? Because there's $7 trillion going through that every single day. So you have to think about it, like who has $7 trillion? Who makes up most of this market is really the banks.
Right, exactly. So how did you go from forex to the next
Yes, so like basically when I started forex, I just kind of like people call it a rabbit hole. So from there, I started looking at other avenues of income. So something big that was popping off at the time was drop shipping.
Okay, I heard
that. Right,
yeah.
yeah. So, YouTube back then, that's when YouTube really started going hard on the ads. So I saw a lot of drop shipping ads. I'm like, okay, what's this about? So it got me to make my own store, right? So I created, a gadget store, right?
Okay.
Online. So basically, I would go from AliExpress, right? I'll take AliExpress, look up a product. There's different ways you could do product research, but what I did was I used I can't remember the exact name, but it's an attachment to Shopify, right?
Okay.
It helps you look up names of products that are trending right now.
Okay.
So I'll look up gadgets and I'll basically go on AliExpress, Alibaba, find gadgets for maybe $5, right? And then sell them for $15 on my website. So the problem I had was the marketing, right? I didn't know exactly how to get my product in front of the people
Right.
who needed to see it.
Yeah.
And at this time, like, you know, Facebook ad manager was coming out. So I was like, okay, like I'm in school right now,
Yeah.
right? I'm not really making too much. It's taking a lot of my time, right? But I'm not really making too much from it. So that's how I just kind of I don't want to say dissolve that business, because, like, you know, it's something that I can always do. It's something I can always pick back up. But yeah.
Now I know you mentioned that there were a few problems. So like doing drop shipping, were you successful in that?
No, I wasn't. I wouldn't call it successful. I was able to start up a store to get a few sales, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was successful because only the reason I never scaled it, right? Like, I only did couple of dollars. So.
Okay, so for anyone that's really interested in drop shipping, how can they, like, basically, if they're just a new beginner, they don't know anything, how would they, like, get started?
Yeah, so to get started in drop shipping, you have to first of all find a product, right? So a lot of people would say, look, the market is saturated with specific amount of products, but that just really means, when I hear saturation, that just really means that it's something that's hot right now, right? But you have to be the person that gets it in front of the audience, right? So for anybody just beginning, I would just say product research, that's number one. And, you know, you can do that by just scrolling down your Instagram feed. If you see, like, let's say like a wine opener, right? You're scrolling down your Instagram feed or going through the stories, you know, there's ads that pop up. So whatever product comes up in those ads, that's probably a product that's people want to buy. So that's one way you can do product research. After you do the product research, you have to set up shop, right? So you know what you want to sell. So you could go to Shopify.com. There's other sources, WooCommerce, I believe. Set up shop, you know, set the product up on there. Then you start setting up your funnels, right? What are your funnels? It's your marketing, the marketing for how you market, right? So Facebook ads, Google ads. So you set that up.
How much is that, by the way?
Yeah, so it was whatever you want to make it, right? Okay. So Facebook ads, you could do as little as $5 per day. That's your budget. You could do $1 per day. People might not see it, but, you know, you're still paying for Facebook to blast it out. So yeah, so after you set up your funnels, you create a landing page, and, you know, the thing about dropshipping, right, is most people, they buy stuff impulsively on their phone. So you have to make sure that the website is clean, right? So you have to make sure the mobile, because, right, when you set up a website, you have the mobile view, you have the desktop view. So always make sure your mobile view is clean and easy to do, so people can just buy, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, when they go to your website, they don't have to click too many buttons. They just, oh, I want to buy this now, put in card information. And that's basically it. Like, you know, drop shipping is what you make it. You could drop ship cups, you know, you never know. You never know.
And it's interesting when you brought up product researching. I was listening to this podcast about this woman who does, like, multiple different side hustles, and she brought up drop shipping and how she does, you know, product research. She said she's Googled, like, the hottest trend, and interestingly enough, she was like, the hottest trend was the Black Lives Movement, because you got to think about people want to express themselves about, you know, Black Lives Matters and things like that. Those shirts, people were making so much money on it just by putting words on it and things like that.
Yeah, and I would say too, like, you know, I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of people use black people for their ad campaigns now, right? You know, I don't know if you know, it's just something I noticed ever since, like, the whole the protest back in last summer.
Okay, George Floyd.
Yeah, George Floyd. Like, a lot of companies use African Americans for their ad campaigns now.
Yeah, it's, you know, Netflix and Hulu, they have Black stories now and things like that. So after drop shipping, would you move on to next?
Really, that's I would say that's where I got into my drop shipping. My real estate business.
Okay.
So, like, I kind of was born into real estate in a way. It's kind of funny, but from the beginning, my parents really, they started acquiring units. right? So rental properties from when I was younger, and I would just watch them. I would do a little property management, shovel the snow, deal with the sewage. Yeah, so this is mainly Essex County.
Okay.
So mainly Newark, New Jersey, Irvington, Maplewood, a little bit of Union County, Union, New Jersey.
Okay.
So yeah, they started acquiring units, and I'm watching them, right? So I go into college. I'm like, okay, look, I want to go to college to be like, the business guy in the health sector, right? I went for health information management.
Okay.
Throughout the course of college, it kind of changed to business management, and I'm like, okay, like I like people. Not everybody knows how to manage a business. I always thought like, business is just anybody can do it, but when you get deep into it, you're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
So funny enough, right? My last year in college, I was. This was 2019 or 2018 going into 2019.
Okay.
So like end of 2018-ish. So I'm on Instagram scrolling, and you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I saw an ad on Instagram, right? And it was like come to my training to watch me speak. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to that, and it's not far. So put it on my Instagram story. A friend said they want to come with me. So we went, and they were telling us, yes, you can make money through stocks, you can make money through real estate. And there was an upsell, meaning that, okay, they were like, okay, this is really just to ginger you up, spice you up for the 3-day course.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna spend like $400 going to this next course. But my friend, she was really into it. I'm like, okay, all right, so what you want to do? She was like, I'll pay for you to come with me.
Oh wow.
I was like, okay, the whole thing. I was like, okay. I'm not complaining, man. Shout out to Joy, man. Like she really sowed that seed in me. So like my friend Joy, she has a business, Joy's Wellness Project.
Okay, Joy's Wellness.
Yeah, so
that's her Instagram.
That's her Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, Joy's Wellness. But yeah, so we went to this 3-day course, and man, let me tell you, they were dropping gem after gem. They were giving out money. I made $130, right? The guy, in one day, he was like, who wants to be the bank? Whoever puts $1 in my hand gets to be the bank. So I had a crumbled up dollar in my pocket. I pulled it out and I ran to the stage, and I was right in his hand. He was like, wow, this is the crappiest dollar I've ever seen. But he was like, you get to be the bank. So he put up like 20 more people. And he was like, yo, if you have money in your pocket, come to the stage. You give me 10, I'll give you 20. So this is all he was doing. And basically, like, somehow, I don't even know what he was explaining. I was just like, there's a lot of money coming into my hand right now. So I got $130 end of the story. I paid my phone bill with that money. So it was pretty clutch, but there was a lot of gems dropped that day. And one thing that stuck with me was wholesaling, right? So by the end of that 3 days, there was another upsell. Like, pay for us to mentor you kind of thing.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna do it. But then again, my friend comes out of nowhere. She was like, I'll pay.
Wow, Joy again?
Joy again. She was like, just
keep her around, man.
She was like, just set up a payment plan with me. I was like, okay, look, I'm getting a mentor out of this. This is something I'll do with you.
Yeah.
So, I got a mentor, and he kind of said, okay, at the end of the course, he sat us all down, everybody who paid. He was like, okay, this is what I need you to go do. I need you to look for multifamily properties, which is basically anything with 2 units and above, right? There's multi-unit, which is technically considered 5+ units, but multifamily is usually 1 to 4.
Like a duplex.
Like a duplex, triplex, quadruplex, yeah. So he said, look for those type of properties in the range of $100,000 to $10 million. So I'm like, okay. And he's like, make sure they produce income, right? So make sure there's rents coming in.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So first, I look in my local area first of all, right? So I find a couple, and I call the realtor, or if it's for sale by owner, I call the owner straight up. Okay, what's the income and expenses, right? Because we need to see if this property's cash flowing. So once we find out if it's cash flowing, that's enough to actually be presentable to an investor, right?
What's cash flow for the listener?
Yeah, so cash flow is basically the money you make after expenses. So if you have expenses like your mortgage, the water, electricity, gas, if it all comes out to, let's say, $1,000 a month, and the property brings in $1,500 in rents per month, that's $500 of cash flow. So once it has cash flow, it's easy to present to an investor, because investors, they're just looking for stable investments, make their money work for them. So the very first property that I found was down in Darby, Pennsylvania, right?
Darby, Pennsylvania.
So I found this property.
Is that like in the country?
It's like a little bit outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, that's good then.
It's not. Yeah, it was a good location. 20 minutes to the airport.
Okay, nice.
Not too bad. So I'm like, okay, it's cash flowing. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I put it on the contract, right? So basically, in real estate, in the contract, there's something called. So let me bring it to the basics. When you put something on the contract, you have something called equitable interest in the property, right?
Okay.
So basically, meaning that now that you're under contract, the seller has accepted your offer on the property.
Right.
You could do whatever you please to do with that contract.
Okay.
Right. So this is where wholesaling comes in. So in the conditions for your contract, right, before the realtor types up the contract, you say you want to be able to assign the contract.
Yeah.
So basically what that assignment means is that you can give this piece of paper, right, the contract, I could give it to you, and you can buy the property.
Right. And that's essentially what wholesaling is. Is when you find the property for somebody else, you get it under contract, and then you assign it to somebody else, and then and tell me about the profits that the person who's assigning is. How do they make the profit?
Yeah, so let's say the property is listed for $300,000, right? I'm coming in at a discount, right? Because they're saying that they want $300,000 because that's probably the value of the property, right? Nobody's gonna ask for $300,000 for a property that's only worth $100,000, right? It doesn't, unless like demand is really high. So I came in at a discount. I came in at about, let's say, I would say like $225,000, right? So properties, they asked it for $300,000. I'm coming at $225,000.
Oh, nice.
Right? So they're probably gonna count you at like $230,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll accept that. So now it's under contract for $230,000. So let's say I come to you, an investor. I say, hey, look, I have a property here that's, I'm asking for $250,000.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now they say, okay, I'll do it. They get their financing or they pay cash. You get to the closing table, and then boom, and the HUD, right? That's basically the closing statement. Your fee is there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that $20,000. So basically, that $230,000 is paid off,
right,
and then that $20,000
goes to right. So how can someone like learn more information about like wholesaling if they wanna get into it? Like where would they go? So
a resource I would say is YouTube University. I mean, everything is free. I don't use the contracts I found on YouTube personally, but I do know quite a few people who do. Most of my contracts personally come from my mentor. I mean, like if anybody wants to reach out to me for some contracts, I'll definitely be able to provide them. But I would also say, like, this is my little disclaimer. Like, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a. Like, look, you have to put that out there, right? I mean, these are, like, any legal documents. There's two important four-letter words in real estate. That's math and that's read, right? So if you have a contract, you have to make sure that you're reading everything. And if you don't understand, bring it to a lawyer, because these contracts are not written in plain English. They're written in, whatever lawyers speak.
So how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so I wholesaling in 2018 to 2019. From 2019 to 2020, I really transitioned into property management.
Oh, okay.
Transitioned to actually having my own investment properties as well.
Now, what is property management for our listeners?
Yeah, so that's when, let's say you're an investor and you don't want to be as hands-on with your property. You get a property manager to collect your rents, deal with maintenance requests, do leasing. These are all very important things.
Right, and for an example, I don't know if anybody watches Insecure, but Issa Rae, she played
the property manager. Yeah. And being a property manager can come in clutch. Some people get discounted housing.
You get free rental,
free,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Depending on where you are, you could get discounted or free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So property management, it's a business. It's a good business because you could get, let's say, like 10% of the rents.
Okay.
So let's say per year they bring in $12,000. A property brings in $12,000. You're getting $1,200.
I can't beat it.
And then you get multiple properties under your belt, multiple doors, as a manager would call it, and that's how you get your bread.
That's great. So you're a real estate business, so it involves property management, wholesaling. What else?
Investments, buy and holds, and then I do the lending too on the refinancing side.
Do you have any properties of your own?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
4.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
4. But let me be honest with you, right? So, my properties are through co-borrowing, right? So what that means is, right, as I stand right now, like the age of my credit, for me to and definitely my W-2s, right? You need W-2s to be able to get your first property, right? So I don't really have W-2 income, right? So what I do is because I can't exercise my FHA right now. So basically, FHA is the first time home buyer program, which allows you to put 3.5% down for a property, right? So that's for every $100,000, you only have to put down $3,500.
Exactly.
So because I can't exercise that right now, I have to bring in other sources.
Awesome.
Meaning, so say my uncle, for example, he has a good credit score. He has a good track record of experience in real estate. So I form an LLC, right, where he is now 20% owner.
Okay.
Right, and I'm over 20%, I would say. The structure, as long as you're over 20%, you can guarantee a loan. So my uncle, he can come in and guarantee a loan for me and help me get a property.
Yeah.
Right, with his credit experience. Obviously, yes, I'll bring the money to the table, but he can help me as far as on that credit and experience side.
So this is for like the investors who not necessarily have a high-paying job or anything like that. They can also still utilize and invest in real estate. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this is not only for the people who don't have high-paying jobs, but also for the people who are 1099, right?
Okay.
People who are contracted, because if you go to any realtor and you say you want to get a house, they're gonna say, what's your debt to income ratio? And that income is especially if you want to do the FHA way, it has to come from a W-2.
Right.
Now there are ways around that, like if you went to school for 4 years and graduated, but that's not what we're really getting into right now, unless you want to know. But yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So from real estate, you have your real estate business. I know you mentioned that you're also in stocks.
Yes.
So how did you start there?
How did I start stocks? I started with I want to say Bitcoin, right? That was my first. Yeah. So
What year was it?
so this was probably like 2017.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from trading forex, right? When I was looking at stocks, I'd be like, nah, that's not really my thing, because you have to hold, you have to buy and hold.
Yeah.
So as I've grown older over the past couple of years and wiser, I realized that it's not all about the fast money.
Yeah.
So I first looked at Bitcoin and I'm like, okay, I believe cryptocurrencies are the future. So I did actually buy into it a little bit.
Okay.
Then I would say like over the past year or so, that's when I really started to buy stocks.
Okay.
So how I buy my stocks is basically like, first of all, is it a company that I would personally buy a product from, right? That's the first thing I look at. Then you have to get into the financials of the company, right? Where's most of their money coming from?
Yeah.
How much money do they owe other people? Are they growing every year, right? Those are good signs. So once I see, okay, it's a company that I might be interested in, then you can use Cash App, you can use an app called Charles Schwab, you can use Robinhood, right? So yeah, so basically, I just buy stocks, hold, like like any extra income I have, right? I just put into the stocks, right? And actually, I just remember, right? Are you familiar with the options?
A little bit.
Yeah, so options is basically high frequency trading, or it could be long term, but basically.
Oh, like day trading.
Well, in a sense, yes, because right. So with an option, you're basically just saying, okay, I think that this stock is gonna be above this point.
Okay.
By this date or by this time.
Like the price target. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, that was basically my first introduction to stocks, the options.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know for me personally, for someone who's like just beginning, just starting out, picking out stocks, my biggest suggestion is look at the top 10 holdings of like Warren Buffett, Berkshire. That's the easiest way to get in there. And if you study Warren Buffett, you'll see that he acquired his wealth in the later years of his, because he hold it and he invests in dividend stocks where they pay you to be a shareholder, and that's really great information. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would say people nowadays, like, they just want a quick check.
Yeah.
So like when they hear stocks, they're like, oh, long term, it's not really my thing. And like also at the same time, right? One thing I do, like, when I was having a discussion with my girlfriend, right? It's like, is 100 million really that relevant to someone who's 80, 90 years old? Right? You know what I'm saying? As opposed, like, the value of like 100,000 to like a 20-year-old, right? Like, which one really has more value at that point in life? So that like, you could still get money now, right? But you have to work hard, especially in real estate. Like, real estate is all hard work. Stocks is all hard work. Don't let anybody fool you into thinking like, no, you can't. It's easy, right? These things, but if you put in the work, you can see a lot of money in a relatively short period of time, right? Because of YouTube University, Google University. So
absolutely, I'm telling you, that's where it's at. So next, we want to talk about, you mentioned fintech. So how are you invested in that?
So there's different ways you can invest. You can invest money, you can invest time. So basically right now, I'm invested through school, right? So I'm getting my master's in digital innovation and financial technology.
Awesome.
So well, that's gonna be like a couple months from now. Right now I'm getting my master's in international real estate. So once I'm done with this, and I think I'll be done in June, I'm starting that up. But the main reason and the way I am really invested into it is through something called prop tech, right? Which is kind of like a branch of fintech, which is basically called a short for property technology. So what it does is, like, it makes the life of anybody in real estate easier, prop tech. With real estate, we really didn't have like good record keeping or data tracking until 10, 15 years ago. So there's really a space for techies and people who love tech to get involved now and make life easier. So a big thing that I want to do going forward is, create my own tech startup essentially. It's really going to be centered around data in the lending industry, right? So number one, right, if you don't know, right, these banks, when they write loans, they actually sell your loans to the secondary market, which is people on Wall Street, right? because they buy it for people to be able to buy those on the secondary market, essentially package it so people could just buy it and they can have that information readily available.
And that's awesome because tech right now is booming, especially with cryptocurrency rising. Startup companies are trying to specialize into making cryptocurrency an actual a payment system that we can all utilize. So my predictions in 2021 is that this tech sector is going to be booming. I'm telling you.
No, very
really
true.
is.
Very true.
Last question. How can everyone find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at new.lingo, New Lingo. You can also find me on LinkedIn. If you really just want to reach out to me, please find me, hit me up. I'm here to be a resource to anybody. And I try to make myself available. You can also find me on Clubhouse too. I'm usually on Clubhouse dropping knowledge and basically, being a resource to people. So my name is Owen Igori, Owenigori.
All right, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it.
No doubt, no doubt.
Thank you.
Thank you.